Hello and welcome to the Kayden Show, today's best country mix. And joining me right here today is Helen Counts. Helen, how are you?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So, what made you want to do music?
I think it's just in my blood. I come from a background of people that, I grew up around my father singing and we always had the radio on. And so I think it's my aunt sings. I think it's just in
Mhm.
my blood.
Awesome, awesome. So, why don't you introduce yourself and let everyone know a little bit about you and maybe something that people don't know about you?
Yeah, well, my name's Helen Counts and I'm an indie singer songwriter. I'm based out of Madison, Wisconsin, where I've lived half my life. I'm originally from Northern Virginia. So a lot of my musical influences come from that area of the country, but I have an interest in a lot of different genres. I think that affect my songs. And I self-published a CD in 2002, and then recently have close to 4 singles now in the last year out on streaming, which is a exciting project I'm working on, the fourth going on during the pandemic time, music wise.
That's awesome. So, if you could do a duet or collaboration with any singer, Helen, who would you choose and why?
That's a really good question. I love singing duets. I would not pass up
Hmm.
anybody really who wanted to sing with me. But I will say a couple of years ago, I was at an Ellis Paul concert here in Madison, actually,
Hmm.
and we were listening. And my friend, who's known me for about 20 years, said, "Boy, you two would sound really good together." And I was thinking about that the other day. So I'd have to say Ellis Paul. I think he may be on tour now. I think I saw something on social media, and that reminded me of, yeah, that would be awesome. Plus, he just seems like a great guy.
Definitely, definitely. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your four singles that you released in the past year?
Certainly, yeah. The first song I released was "That Look." That was last July. It was kind of an interesting single that was based on a photograph a friend of mine took. So it's not something I normally get inspiration from per se, a picture of a stranger, but it was kind of an unprecedented time where the photo was taken during that look, and the look of somebody's face during the time when we'd been masking, I think, was that much more meaningful. So I have to say, I'm not sure that song would have been written except for the times we were in. But of course, you write the songs during the time that you're living in. And then the second song, Some Healing, was based on a lot of the need for mental health awareness and the need for healing kind of across generations during the pandemic, which is really an important cause to me. And my latest single, Shaky Ground, was a little bit of a revision of an old song I never recorded. I tweaked it a bit. It's a
Mhm.
little bit more of a rocking vibe, and it seems to be pretty popular. I think a lot of people are finding some common ground in sort of the concept of shaky ground, especially now, just with everything going on in the world and in many ways. So the next single is soon to be released in the next few weeks. And I'm just kind of building on that sort of indie
Mhm.
rock vibe a little bit more. My first song, That Look, was a little bit more acoustic, sort of folk Americana, if you will, with going an acoustic one. And so I kind of built up the tempo as I went
Mhm.
along um, with the projects.
Fantastic. So do you have any advice to those who might
And
want to
they were,
start?
yeah,
Go ahead, sorry.
yeah. No, I was just going to say they're co-produced with Demo My Song and 50/50 Songs in New York City. So I was really lucky to work with them and get a lot of the instrumentation and production with help from them. So I just want to do a shout out to them. But yeah, I mean, to get on your next question, I think you have to have it as a passion. I really don't think a good song can be forced. None
Mhm.
of the songs that I listed, a second ago were planned per se. I think if somebody really, is not sure, they certainly could try it and see how it feels.
Mhm.
But I think it does take some work and perseverance. I think it also takes a lot of vulnerability and some self-confidence in
Mhm.
sharing some feelings that are authentic and pretty raw sometimes, which is really the power of music, in my opinion. So that's really what, and it brings joy to. It needs to bring joy to your life rather than be a chore all the time, right?
Yes, it needs to be something that you really like. You don't want it to be a chore because you won't like it.
Exactly.
Mhm. So, why don't you kind of tell me a little bit about any hobbies you have other than music?
I love being out in nature. So my next single, the title of my next single coming up is called Firefly, which sort of it makes people think of the woods in the forest. I don't think that's a coincidence, but I like to be out in the woods. I find it
Mhm.
very peaceful. A lot of natural beauty, I think, is good for the soul. I like I like to think. So I like to problem solve. I like to do puzzles. I like true crime. I mean, a lot of different things. I have a lot of irons and different fires that I like, and the music is up there for sure. Um, Definitely writing, kind of stuff.
Mhm. Definitely songwriting, all that fun stuff. Yep.
Mm,
Where do you see
right.
yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, Helen? Do you have a goal set for yourself?
Definitely, I want to get enough singles built up to put it as an album. That would be sort of the short term goal.
Mhm.
Um, Through this process, particularly the last year, I've been kind of chatting with and meeting
Mhm.
fellow musicians. It'd be super fun. And they're all super talented, many from different genres. They play different instruments, they have different vocal ranges.
Mhm.
And how cool would that be to collaborate? So that's really fun. Those things would be there. It's hard to plan too far ahead these days,
Right, right.
but I think those are really reachable.
Yeah, and especially with like COVID and everything too, I think it's really hard to plan ahead because you never know what's coming next after that whole thing happened.
Exactly, yeah, bang out those songs, right? That's right.
Absolutely, I understand
Good
that
point.
completely. Definitely. So, do you have a message to those who might be listening or watching this?
Right. I mean, I think, thanks for listening. I hope, my hope all along, and I'm a firm believer in music is having a healing properties. And when
Hmm.
I write songs, they help to heal me, and I hope that they help to heal others and bring some peace to their lives. And I also am, if you're somebody who likes music that tells a story, that's
Hmm.
kind of my thing. So if you and people have commented that's what they enjoy, it helps keeping them engaged in a song. So if that's something that you like, I think checking out my stuff would be something that would probably mesh well with you. Um, uh, and yeah, and the other thing
Hmm.
that I just decided to do yesterday was my old CD from 2002. I decided to release 8 of those songs. It was an 8 song album onto streaming. So in the next few days, I'll have 8 more songs in my profile from years gone by, and so that'll add more interest, I think, to listeners. Some of them are a little bit different genres, so that makes it kind of fun. Something for
Absolutely.
everyone.
Yeah, I understand that completely. I think a lot of people, you'd be surprised that a lot of people I talk to that is really like storytelling music. I think that is what country music pretty much was developed to be, honestly.
Mhm, mhm. Right, right. Then that's what I grew up listening to for sure. I grew up listening to folk music, exactly, and
Hmm.
so perhaps that's it. I also like a good story. I like the human aspect of what
Hmm.
caused the song to exist
Yeah,
before the song is written. So, and of course, that's probably all in your back of your mind when you're writing something. But that's, I think, huge for me. If I didn't tell a story in a song, I don't think it would go down on paper. Really, I really don't. I'd have to collaborate with someone who'd push me through that song for sure.
definitely, definitely. If it wasn't storytelling, it'd be kind of hard, I feel like, for most of us to write a song with.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think everyone has their different styles. One thing I've, been listening to a lot of different genres, and a lot of my fellow musicians have pushed me into, oh, that artist, I didn't know that person, and listen to their
Mhm,
stuff. And sometimes I think, oh, I wouldn't have thought about doing it that way, but that's a great idea. Or, oh yeah, that's the way I would have looked at that. So I'm sure people who write books sometimes read other people's stuff and they
mhm.
think, oh, the same thing, or art work or painting or what have you. So it's fun.
For sure. So where can people find you on social media if they want to keep up with what you're up to, Helen?
Right. So I'm at helencounts.com. And then my general ID is Helen Counts 85. So I'm Helen Counts 85 on Twitter. I'm Helen Counts 85 on Instagram. On my Linktree account, I'm Helen Counts 85. So that has all my stuff in one. And then for my first two releases, I didn't do lyric videos, but I decided to do a lyric
Mhm,
video for Shaky Ground. All the songs are on YouTube, but Shaky Ground has a lyric video. And for my upcoming release, Firefly, I'm planning to do a lyric video on YouTube. So if people don't have a lot of streaming platforms, you can find me on YouTube, which is nice.
awesome. And Helen, is there anything that I forgot to mention that you would like to mention?
Um, Not really. I've been doing performances kind of on and off since my 20s. It
Mhm,
started in Virginia and some of the restaurants and coffee shops there, and
mhm,
then I performed in New England in college. It's kind of fun to have
mhm,
performed in varying parts of the country, and then now I've been performing in Wisconsin for a number of years. It's interesting. Every place that you perform has just a little bit different
mhm,
of a bent. I think I had the country Americana stuff in
mhm,
Virginia, and then I think in New England there at the time that I was performing, there were a lot of young women, kind of folk artists that I guess maybe Americana. I don't know if that was even a term back then, maybe,
yeah.
but um, that that were real popular. Katie Curtis was one of
Mhm,
them that came out of Maine, and Dar Williams, and all these wonderful storytelling type of singer-songwriters that
mhm,
are still performing, still amazing. And so I think these people, even if you were only listening to them or in effect
mhm,
affect your songwriting forever for the rest of your life. So and now I'm getting exposed to more of the rock stuff that I've been working on, the indie rock, and so that's affecting my latest two singles. So I think it's just kind of fun. I appreciate audiences no matter where they're from, and I think it's nice that I've been able to move around and meet so
yeah.
many different people. And that's really fun. I think people appreciate it. It's nice when you're singing a song and the room goes silent. That's a feeling that
Mhm,
you remember, even if it was 25 years
right.
ago. It's pretty pretty awesome.
Sure is. Well, Helen Counts, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Kayden Gordon Show today's Best Country Mix. We appreciate your time.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Kayden. Have a good one.